Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 13 of the Oblivion Oath. I want to thank you all for tuning in this week. We've got an exciting episode planned for you. Just a few things before we get started. I want to remind everyone that 2 weeks from today is Thursday, August 1st. We will not be having a session of the Oblivion Oath on August 1st. Why? Because a bunch of us are going to be at Gen Con releasing the second edition of the Pathfinder role-playing game to all of you. So we're going to be there at that show. It's going to be a crazy, hectic time. If you haven't gotten your pre-orders in yet, go in, order it from us, order it from your favorite local game store, or stop by and see us at Gen Con. A handful of the cast will be there. We'll be happy to sign books and wave and say hi. So we will see you there. We're really excited about it. Let's see. I think that's the only really big show note I have for the beginning here. So I'm going to hop right into our tale. When we last left our intrepid band of adventurers, 4 unlikely heroes fled from Last Wall aboard a barge. However, that journey was not to be, as tragedy struck. Fire hit the barge. Undead rose from a number of coffins that were on board. And in the chaos and panic, the barge sunk. These heroes woke up on the shores of Razmaran, near a knight who was also on board. That knight looked up to them and said, "I'm sorry. I'd never meant it to be this way." Spoke a series of strange, almost blasphemous words, and all of you blacked out. When you came to, they had strange key tattoos on their arms and were bearing a strange, ancient-looking bone-white. Well, what happened next was they were in Razmaran and they got pulled into the dangerous web that is the Razmaran faith, the faith of the living God. They were taken to the throne step. They were made guests of the living God and quickly learned that they weren't exactly allowed to leave. After a series of deceptions and a terrible series of fights down in the sewers, the group managed to escape and have been on the run ever since. Fleeing from Throne Step across the countryside, they eventually found their way to a small wood where they hoped they might find some respite. But there they met a halfling ranger who made it clear that they could not possibly stay there and that they had to continue their journey. He took them, this was Dranzior. Dranzior led you out of the woods, evading the pursuit of Vokar, the herald of Razmir, who was hot on your tail. They eluded their pursuers by crossing a ravine and knocking the log in, and made their way to the town of Deadgoat. Deadgoat is a tiny little thorp of a community. There's a dozen or so farm buildings. There's no real businesses to speak of. There is, in fact, what looked to be like the remains of an old church to Aristil? Yes, a church of Aristil. You could only make it out by the symbol that was still emblazoned on the front in like grime and dirt from where the symbol had been removed. You could only see it in negative. There you were taken in to meet the owner of the shrine, which apparently had been converted to some sort of pig farm. And there you met Olinari. Mother Olinari took you in and promised to hide you. The aging priestess of Aristil hid you down in her private quarters beneath the place where you learned that she still held the faith of Aristil. She then used her swine herd to obliterate any sign of your passing in the town, and spent a good deal of time up above throwing the priests who arrived soon after off your trail. All seemed well. Party bed down for a night of rest. However, that rest was to be interrupted. Later on that night, you were woken up with a start, hearing screams up from above. Worse still, the key was glowing with a pale light, freezing cold. There was something happening with it. You quickly rushed upstairs to find that in the graveyard outside, which was the pig pen, the dead had risen up from ancient graves and were attacking Olinari. The group sprung into action. However, as they did so, they quickly came to realize that the undead were incredibly powerful. They were difficult to kill. They were these walking hulks of dead flesh that hit with the force of 10 men. However, through a number of very heroic acts, the party managed to beat back the undead horde, save Mother Orlinari. However, it did not come without a cost. At the end, one of the undead slammed its fist. The goblin spun about and fell to the ground. This was just moments after he looked to Carina and said, "You are my friends." He let forth one last blast of healing that destroyed many of them. As the combat drew to a close, as the last undead hulk fell to the ground, the key suddenly stopped glowing. Its cold faded away. And as you looked over, Quandle fell to ash. Just like the knight had when you first got the key. So, that is where we are going to pick up the game. At that moment, looking about the graveyard, the mist is still there, but it's kind of receding. The graveyard, which was once a kind of relatively even affair, I mean, other than the trampling of pigs, is now a tumbled mess where these corpses clawed their way up out of the earth. Mother Orlinari is off to the side, panting heavily, and she just looks at all of you and is like, "What in Erastil's name happened? What?" She points down to the pile of ash. That is Quandle.
Mikah's gonna slump down and immediately start sobbing.
You go to the ash and Quandle's things are still there, right? I mean his cloak, his
jar of pickles,
his pickle bag, all of his things are still there. But where there should be your friend, there is now just a fine gray powder.
This is all because of that stupid key. I don't know what's going on with it, but I don't know how we got into this. Did either of you know what causes this?
I assume it's the whatever the knight said to us right before he crumbled to ash, and we all woke up with these strange tattoos.
Zell's gonna dip his fingers in the ash, give himself 2 little battle lines under his eyes with Quandle's ashes, and take the satchel of pickles. Like, we need to destroy this key. We also need to leave this town.
Sev, who is here, is just in the background looking wide-eyed at all of you. I don't know anything about that, but have you just tried getting rid of it?
I'll throw the key.
You throw the key, and Orlinari's like, "I don't want it," as it lands off over in the graveyard. Yeah. And a half second later, it's back around your neck.
And I'll just show her, like,
ta-da.
Sev kind of looks at you. She's like,
when
"You're cursed."
It seems that way.
Sure feels like it.
When we first got the key, Quandle had it, and he tried to throw it away too, and it just came back. So I told him I'd take it, and now I feel like somehow this is my fault, or like I should have done something, or I don't know. He was scared of me, and I wish he knew that I didn't have anything to do with this.
Well, perhaps once we destroy that key, it'll, I don't know what happens to our souls when we have this horribly doomed, cursed object with us.
How do we destroy it?
I think we have to go find some the knight who gave us this, the order he belongs to.
Oh yeah.
Sev pipes up and she's like, I don't know an awful lot about curses, but I know that they're damn difficult to get rid of usually. They're powerful, evil magics.
This key also seems to make undead wake up. I think this is what happened on the barge, maybe?
Oh, maybe it's all the knight's fault.
Yeah,
for
we all
getting
thought
on the
it.
barge.
Yeah, we all thought it was Sev. Sorry, Sev.
I didn't
She's
think
like,
it was Sev.
she's like, I mean, think nothing of it, but that you honestly think a knight of Lastwall?
Well, if he was under the same curse as we are currently seem to be, then maybe he didn't realize what was going on either.
He did say it wasn't supposed to happen like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why he was running.
Well, and he wasn't from the regular Knights of Lastwall. I don't think he had. Do you still have his badge?
I do.
He had a strange symbol on his badge.
So the symbol of Lastwall is a white field with a number of black shields on it. It's a relatively straightforward sigil and flag. This badge has that, but in the center there is this black key emblazoned. And it doesn't look like this was like something he painted on there. It's like enameled into the badge. It looks like it's part of it.
Mm-hmm.
They have some sort of book, right? Isn't that what someone was telling us
Yeah.
before?
Olinari is like, well, if you're cursed, you are unfortunately beyond the blessings of Erastil for me to help. But if you are, I hate to say it, but if your curse causes the dead to rise near you, and suddenly she gets wide-eyed, town cemetery. I'll be right back. And she goes running off down the main street. This cemetery looks very old. It doesn't look like the town uses this cemetery. This cemetery looks like it is the ancient cemetery of this shrine. She goes running off, leaving the four of you there by yourselves.
While she goes and does that, I think Carina will bend down next to the pile of ash and say a little prayer to Pharasma for Quendal's poor departed soul.
Yeah, I mean, you speak out to Pharasma in his name. It's kind of a quiet moment. The mist is slowly receding. All the sounds that you hear are the quiet kind of night sounds of this tiny town. It looks like most of the other townsfolk have no idea anything even happened. There were a few cries in the night. You saw a few lights turn on, but by the time they even got to the windows, everything was over. There are also like a number of corpses sitting in the graveyard. Many of them kind of crumbled to ash under Quendal's fire, but a few of them didn't, and they're just there.
Well, it seems like if we have a potentially cursed object that brings dead back to undeath, whatever, maybe we should avoid graveyards from now on.
That's probably wise.
Oh.
Oh. Well,
Sorry.
that
Should probably
my heart.
Out of
Get off
initiative
there.
order forever.
He's still an initiative in our hearts.
That's true.
Oh.
Still an initiative.
Well, now I just feel like a monster.
You didn't before.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Fair.
I was wondering why I didn't really feel that much different. All right. So a few moments go by. You spend a few moments quietly reflecting, and Mother Olinari comes back in a bit of a huff, and she's like, "Okay, there's nothing afoot in the town graveyard. It's just down the lane, but everything there is quiet and peaceful." So she looks at all of you and says, I wish to ensure that you are made safe. I feel for your plight, but I'm not sure that you can stay here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Do you know where, like, the nearest Pharasman cleric or anything might be?
She says, I'm afraid all of us who still carry any faith have gone to ground for the most part.
Sure.
Our practice is outlawed here. Even if common folk carry on with prayers and holy days for other faiths, that is looked down upon. But the active promotion of other faiths here in Razmaran is a punishable offense.
What would be the fastest way to get out of Razmir?
I think I might have an idea.
That doesn't go through any other graveyards.
Yeah.
At least at night.
She looks at you. Razmaran is a graveyard. But I don't want to be too dramatic. It is a place where there are horrible things occurring. Please, let's... She looks at the mess in the graveyard and she says, before we do anything else, we should probably take care of this. I don't want any of the town folk to see it in the morning. There is, fortunately, some open graves now. We can at least push the bodies back in them and try and make it so that the townsfolk don't wake up to a nightmare on their streets. The fewer people that know about this, the better.
Okay. We'll start kind of nudging bodies.
What about this big one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes a bit of effort. The kind of swollen corpse, it looks like it was a big farmer to begin with. But it, like, something about it, like, made it swell with necromantic energy. It was grossly bloated.
It's probably not good to feed it to the pigs.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, is it considered desecration of the body if we, like, put the head somewhere else?
Can we just burn
so
it?
That, ooh, that's.
I mean, it's going to cause a big fire at night, but most people are asleep. It's going to smell.
Yeah.
She says, Mother Olinari says, it will draw a lot of attention, and I am mostly concerned about Renvas and Omoth.
Oh, the drunks.
The two priests here who are in town. If they see this, they will come and ask questions. It is best that we keep this as quiet as possible.
Fair enough.
Well, the big one's not getting back in that mausoleum or the sarcophagus thing.
Do you have a saw?
She blanches. I have shovels. It would be better to dig a larger hole than to cut it into pieces.
Okay.
I don't think she's dug a lot of holes, but okay. We'll dig a
I don't
hole.
know. She might have dug a hole.
Oh, that's true. Maybe she has.
She looks at all of you and says, unfortunately, I've dug more graves than I care to admit. So,
soft scale should just burn these things.
This all happened around midnight, and by the time your task is done, it's about 3 a.m. It takes about 3 hours for you to kind of widen out some of the holes, get the bodies in them, put them back in, and try and at least make the ground look less like some sort of nightmarish catastrophe happened here.
Bring the pigs back in?
What?
Should she bring the pigs back in and just trample it?
After she goes around the area to make sure that there isn't any more pieces or anything, because she doesn't want her pigs eating that.
Fair.
She says, yeah, I'll bring them in first thing in the morning before those two drunks are up. It won't matter.
So, should we bury Quendel's ashes?
Yeah, I was going to say, does she have like a bottle that we could put his ashes into, or anything that might be better than a satchel for holding them?
She when you say satchel, she blanches and like, no, I have a few small vials that I usually use for giving holy water to the locals. But I certainly have some small glass vials. She looks at the quantity of ash and she's like, I don't think I could bottle all of it.
Yeah.
Do you think he would prefer to be in his pickle bottle?
Oh my gosh.
To pour them into the...
Well, I mean, it was a pickle pouch.
It was a pouch.
It was a Boda, right? Or
yeah, I don't think it's actually a bottle.
So you mean like
Or do you mean his little bindle that he had when he was carrying the rat?
This is how the group ends up leaving a trail of just like do do do, and it's just a trail of ash to wherever you go.
Quandle.
Yeah, no.
I like the pickle idea. I feel like he would like that too.
A little bit of Quandle seasoning on the pickles.
Oh.
Well, no,
we're
take
taking
the
the
pickles
out
out
first.
Oh, okay.
Put the ash in there, and then we can sprinkle it somewhere slightly.
We
more
should also dry out the pickle juice before we put the ashes in there.
I don't know.
I appreciate how Zell still defaults to, so we're eating him, right?
Yeah, we're eating
that's happening, right? I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't not going to let that meat go to waste.
Corpse is not a zombie corpse.
It's not even meat anymore,
No,
though.
now it is just seasoning. Yeah, it'd be more like seasoning.
We miss Quandle.
Yeah, we do. As people, we do. Zell, not so much.
He's passed on. Although I'm concerned that his soul is somehow trapped by this horribly cursed key.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that. That's terrible.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, that's the worst thing that can happen to a Pharasman.
Yes.
Like, not being able to go to your final rest is that's the worst.
I hate when that happens.
I hate when that happens.
Yep.
So I realized I did spend a villain point last time, and fortunately I have one on deck. So thanks, Applebee's. I'm just going to go ahead and put that back up.
Oh, we need more of those.
You know, I realized I wasn't at full.
I feel like we should name all the people who've given you hero points, villain points. Yeah. Because a lot of people were blaming that for Quandle, but also the villain point was used on Carina, so.
Yeah, no, I know. Night Trace isn't fully responsible.
But mostly.
Well, I mean, you know.
So, do we want to put his ashes in the bindle, or just put some of them in a bottle?
Just put as much as we can in the pickle pouch, and it'll be symbolic.
Olinari does make up 4 vials. For you.
Okay.
Giving one to each of you and one to Sev.
Okay.
And she says, and she says, of course I defer to you as his friend and as a priestess of Pharasma, but if you like, we can inter his ashes here.
That'd be lovely if you could help with that.
She looks at the graveyard and says, I don't actually think I would keep him here anymore.
We'll trust your judgment.
I think we should probably take him to the town graveyard and put him in a small urn that we can bury there in lieu of any other proper service. Unfortunately, due to the nature of your situation, I suggest that we hold that service preferably before dawn. I shall make everything ready. That way the priests are not awake. I'm sorry, I know you have not gotten much sleep, and neither have I, but this will truly be for the best.
Kind of par for the course so far.
Yeah.
Digging corpse holes.
Yeah.
So she beckons you to go take your ease while she gets everything ready, and she goes and gets together a urn. Basically just a clay pot, and she gathers all the ashes. She brings you all of his things, his clothes, his absolutely filthy cloak, his pickle pouch. He had a item or two. We'll sort that out offline, as it were. And she leaves those all with you, and she goes to prepare a small plot. A few hours later, you're able to kind of rest, and you don't fully get sleep or anything like that. And I want to stress that during this time, the key is perfectly quiet. Nothing else weird happens about it.
Bad key.
No.
You've never really done much with the key. As with all magic items, you can attempt to learn things about them by spending some time and using there are detect magic and read aura and stuff like that. Allows you to kind of learn stuff about magic items. If you want, you can do that, but that's up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I might as well. I would like to try and figure out the best way to get rid of it.
All right. You have Arcana?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead and give me an Arcana skill check, please.
Okay. Let's see. 12. That's not
Hero point? Hero point?
I mean, I have 3 of them, so here, have a
You
hero
do have
point.
fat stacks
Well,
of hero
then
points.
This is very important, or
It
at least
is.
you think it is.
Let's see. I'm gonna use my fancy metal die and see if it likes me more. It liked me 2 less than that.
All right. So, you spend some time with the key, but it's whatever it is, it's hiding its secrets. You get a sense that there is some sort of malevolence about it. And I mean that's
What are you?
That's pretty obvious, but like even as you hold it, it seems to fight you. It doesn't like whatever it is you're trying to do. That's the only sense you get, and then all of your kind of senses and probings into its magics are like snapped shut.
Okay.
If we get time, we could try like experimenting with it a little bit, like 100 feet away from a dead body at night, or 50 feet away from a dead body at night.
I don't know what makes it glow. Like,
yeah, we should.
It was already glowing when we woke up, so
should do some tests.
Yeah, I don't know
Run
what
some experiments.
activates it.
We have to do science on the cursed key.
Puts on
Science!
goggles. Yeah.
All right. So,
Pickle science.
just as the first rays of light begin to come in through the windows of the shrine, Mother Olenari comes to you and says, "All is ready." She escorts you from the small shrine into town, and you pass past a handful of small, thatch roof buildings before you arrive at the town cemetery. Unlike the one next to the old shrine that's now already filled with pigs again, this one's obviously more stately affair. It's got a little simple wooden fence around it, and inside are a number of some rather simple wooden grave markers, others nicer looking but relatively simply carved stone markers. And you can see that off to the side, just allowing the sun to creep over the hill and hit it, you can see that a small hole has been dug, and above it is a small gravestone. It's not much of a stone. It's a rock that's about this big that is, to be honest, vaguely in the shape of a pickle, but not. I mean, it's not obvious. Like, it's just you have to squint. It's just a rock that's kind of long shape. And as you make your way up to it, you can see that Mother Olenari, using apparently a small file or something, has carved the word Quandle into it.
Oh,
dang. Hardcore.
She just kind of scratched it.
Right.
So it looks
still.
like soapstone. So.
Oh, thank you for taking the time for this.
She says, "I'm sorry. It's the best I could do in short notice."
Thank you very much. We couldn't do more than that. So.
There, she has the urn placed next to the hole, and she sets it down on the ground, and she kind of looks to all of you. And says, "You were all her friends, and I am but a simple priestess of Erastil. I do not have the words to speak to Quandle. I was not his friend. I was not his companion, not in the way that you are. But through Erastil, I understand the bonds of community. The bonds of family.
And of curses.
Yeah.
And she looks to all of you and says, I cannot speak to Quandle, but I can speak to the bonds that you had. I can see that bond between you. Erastil teaches us that family and community are one of the most important tenets of our lives. But such things are not always bound by blood. Sometimes they are bound by struggle. Shared hardship can define a family as much as any relation. There's not much more I can say to that. I can only offer you these words that come from Erastil. Draw strength from your family. Draw strength from your friends. In these darkest hours, they are the bonds that will find you back into the light. And she quietly places the urn into the gravestone. If any of you would like to say a few words, I give you the floor. And she kind of steps back.
Carina will take the cloak that Quendel had and fold it up neatly and put it next to the urn and say, Quendel, did not know you well or very long, but you were a loyal little goblin and fought for good. So may Pharasma bless your soul on its journey. Just do a little Pharasma spiral over the grave.
Are there any pickles left?
Oh, yeah, there's a few.
I would like to take a pickle and put it on top of the cloak. And sorry I scared you, Quendel. I never meant to hurt any of my friends, and you were my friend. And I hope that we can figure out what's happening so we can do what would make you proud.
We all kind of look at Zell to see if he's going to say anything.
Shoving ash in his mouth like, what?
Zell will dump the rest of the pickles into the grave, tie the cloth kind of like around his forearm, and he's like, okay, we will figure out this mystery, Quendel. And in case your soul is trapped here, we'll set it free.
Sev, who knew Quendel the least of all, remains silent during all of this, but you can see that in the background she has a tear rolling down her cheek.
Oh.
Sad flute.
And as a matter of fact, she does begin to play her flute with a sad, mournful dirge as Mother Olinari takes the shovel and begins to bury the urn.
Is the key glowing?
Is the key glowing?
Nope.
Okay.
Perfectly silent.
Are we going to have undead Ash Quendel to handle him?
Oh,
Try and put the key in there with him and be like, just keep that,
No,
kid.
here, you're going to hold on to that. We're going to go. Bye.
This will totally work.
So,
go.
It's not about how
like,
fast
hits me in the
you
head.
can't outrun the curse. All right.
But we can try.
No, we just need to go real fast. Go real fast.
Gotta go
All right.
fast.
Now we're
So, the Olinari slowly shovels the earth over the urn, and with that completed, she kind of pats it down and says, she looks to all of you and says, "Thank you for coming, and if you would like, we should return to the shrine. I want to talk to you about how to get you out
Sounds
of
great.
Rasmuran."
Okay.
You return to the shrine, and it's dawn. There's a few farmers and townsfolk who have gotten up to start taking care of their morning chores, but none of them really pay you much heed. They're all going about their morning business, and as you arrive back in the shrine, the dawn has now fully sprung, and the shrine is kind of a quiet, peaceful place. There is sunlight streaming in through the windows, and little tiny motes of light, of dust, are kind of dancing around in the air. And she invites you to take a seat. There are a number of kind of benches still in this room, and she pulls up a chair and sits down with all of you, and says, "Now, I've been giving it some thought, and I want to ensure that the four of you find your way out of this place. It's clear that Rasmuran is not your home, and to be honest, with what we've learned tonight, you have bigger problems that you have to find a way to deal with. I have a friend who can help. He is a traveler, and he makes his way through Rasmuran on a regular basis. He does so in a wagon, he is a known merchant, and on that you can see her kind of squint. He's a known merchant, and he may be able to help smuggle you out without anyone knowing. However, to accomplish that, I'm going to have to call him here. It will take at least a few days. I would try to send you to him, but he travels from place to place, and that may be difficult. It's probably easier for me to get a message to him and ask him to change his route to come here. And then from there, we can get you out. If that is agreeable, I shall send the message immediately.
Mm-hmm. What would you or him be looking for in terms of compensation?
She looks at you. The compensation is knowing that you do not fall in the clutches of the Rasmussen faith. They are a vile and nasty lot, and to be honest, I don't know what that key is, but I don't really want it in their hands. I don't really want it in anyone's hands, but if the Rasmussens get it, who knows what they'll do with it.
Fair enough.
They'd probably ship it to places and be like, for a small donation, we can take the key back.
Yeah. Having problems with undead? We can help you.
Which, if we need money, we could...
They're basically Beetlejuice.
What?
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Olinari says, I will send the message immediately if that is agreeable.
Yeah, I think so.
Sounds
Should
great.
we stay in the meantime? I don't want to.
She looks at you.
Your town.
I see that you are a step ahead of me. You are correct. I cannot have you stay here. There are more corpses in that graveyard, and I can't hide you. I don't dare risk hiding you any closer to the town graveyard. Fortunately, it was far enough away that it was not affected by whatever that is.
Short range.
However, I need to get you to a place where you can hide and be safe. On that, I have a friend. He's a farmer, just outside of town, and he may be able to help you. His name is Rathbun.
Alrighty.
Well, how do we find him?
Well, this evening I will escort you to him as soon as I am assured that the clergy is no longer paying much attention. Renvos and Omoth are usually quite drunk by early afternoon, so by mid-afternoon I should be able to take you to him without having to worry. The key is to make sure that they don't have any sense of your comings and goings. They are loyal to the faith, but are also easily fooled and deceived. It would be best. So I suggest you perhaps get some rest, and early this afternoon I shall take you to Rathbun. He's a little peculiar, but he is friendly and loyal, and he will not give you up.
Well, so are we.
And he fortunately has a place that he can hide you that I'm pretty sure no one will look.
Okay. Well,
All right.
I would tell you more, but I'm afraid there are some secrets I must keep until you are ready to know them, just so that if you do get captured, you cannot reveal our underground that we use to get people to safety. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to trust me. And she looks at you kind of with knowing eyes. And she says, I know that trust does not come easy in Rasmussen. Which is why I hope to earn that trust.
You've already done a lot to help us, so...
The last time someone said trust us, they turned out to be Rasmussen cultists who lured us into a trap in the sewers.
I'll never trust a Pathfinder again.
We did. We did brutally murder them for their betrayal.
She kind of looks at you and nods and says, "Well, I would be worried if I were going to betray you, but it's good to know that you are taking this quite seriously."
Duly noted.
That's some resting door face that accompanies that message.
She's like writing in her book, "Note: will kill if betrayed." All right, yeah.
kills more than undead.
Yeah.
Got it.
Kills more than. That's our tagline. Yeah, so I guess we'll rest in the church for now.
She says you're welcome to go back down into the sanctuary and rest.
Exhausted.
I shall wake you once I am sure that our resident cultists have had their fill.
Okay.
All right. Well, is there anything any of you would like to do? Otherwise, we'll just kind of fast forward.
Zell's gonna pass out.
All right.
Been fighting and digging all night.
Yeah.
And his friend just died.
Yeah. I was gonna say Mikah will probably cry more and then also sleep.
And Carina will probably pray to Pharasma more and then fall asleep.
Yeah. Someone turn off that Erastil sign.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
right, it glows.
It's too bright down here.
Neons.
No, it's not quite that bad.
Let's see why they took it down.
This is really irritating. Yeah.
Very flashy for the nature god.
Yeah. So, several hours go by. You all get some, well, to be honest, pretty fitful sleep. Strange, echoing nightmares where Quendel crumbles to ash, I'm afraid, do plague you.
I hate this key.
But after several hours, you are awoken by the door opening up and Olinari descending down into the small sanctuary. She says, as you wake, she's like, good afternoon. You'll be happy to know that our cultist friends are taking their ease under one of the old orchard trees, having found that the local tavern bought them an extra jug of ale this afternoon. So they are quite relaxed, and I think we should be able to get you out to Rathbun without any problem.
They're indisposed.
So if you would like to gather up all of your things, I will take you there. I ask that you take everything with you. I doubt you will be coming back here.
It doesn't take long to
Yeah.
pack up
All of your belongings?
Like 3 things.
all of them.
This is where I would put my crossbow if I had one.
As you pack up all of your belongings, she's like, we are a meager town with few things. However, if there are any supplies that you need, I may be able to find some of them for you. I would unfortunately have to ask you to compensate, but I can take that coin, get you the thing, and then we shall replenish it from one of our local merchants. So if there's something you desperately need,
rope.
I can certainly get you rope.
Yeah,
Rope would be easy.
rope would be good.
Weapons are very hard to come by.
Okay.
The priests, unfortunately, control most of the weapons trade in Razmaran, making it very difficult for us to arm ourselves.
So maybe it's just even some simple stuff like a sling and bullets.
A sling we can certainly do. Our hunters use slings quite frequently because bows are again hard to come by.
Javelins?
But slings we can make. A javelin may be difficult.
Okay.
I know I can find you a sling. That would not be a problem at all. We can in fact have one made for you without much problem. I mean, we have plenty of leather. It's little more than a leather on a cord.
Other than that, I think some of the stuff we're missing is just like basic camping stuff, like a bedroll. I don't know if we'll need that with this journey in the wagon or not, but we don't have any of that.
You may be here for several days, so I will talk to Rathbun. He will give you some parchment to provide me a list, and I will see what I can gather. So let's approach it from that way.
Okay.
You can't make studded leather, can you?
She looks at you. I highly doubt it.
Don't we have that stuff that we just need to like refit?
Right, yes, that's right. We just need to refit it. We have the dead guy armor.
From
sewer guy, right?
Olinari looks at you. Yes.
And Ogia gave us some armor from a dead guy.
That he was eating.
I'm just a giant lizard asking for some studded leather. It's very normal.
I don't know how to like clarify this more without making it worse.
It just sound worse.
Yeah. No, so we were down in the sewers and we found a corpse, so we took the stuff off of it, and then we murdered a bunch of people and got their stuff too.
That was before
the audience was going to eat him anyway,
So I'll ask Lady Olinari if she wants my old rapier for if she would ever have need of it, or to give it to someone else.
She looks at you and says, if you have a weapon, I will trade you that weapon for all of the basic supplies you need. They are very hard for us to come by.
Because I have my old rapier that I don't use anymore. Yeah, I'll give her my old rapier.
You don't want to two-hand it? Or like...
Well, no, I do. I have rapier short sword, but I have my new shiny dead person rapier.
Again, body looting.
She's like, very well. I will take this and I will see what sort of supplies I can find for you. Please provide me a list and I will try and get as many of the things that you need. So she escorts you out of Dead Goat, out into the farms around Dead Goat. Surprisingly, you don't see very many goat herds around here. It's mostly pigs.
They all died.
But it was explained that this place was founded when a shepherd's final goat died, and he just decided he was going to become a farmer instead, and founded his farm right then and there.
Oh God, was that him? Was he the abomination?
was that the farmer who founded Dead Goat?
Yep.
You'll never know.
Give me my goat.
Where goat?
Do you think the key also raises undead animals?
I don't know. If I have to fight a herd of undead pigs, I'm
thinking of the dead goats.
Oh no.
I'm not sure that there was a swarm of dead goats here, but you never know. All right, so
let's hope we don't test it.
Yeah. This is turning into weird science now with the key. Like can we have our own undead goat army? Is not the question I was expecting to get this session. I gotta be honest with you. All right, so you're escorted out to a farm. You pass a number of kind of small plot farms. Most of them are raising are growing various sorts of root vegetables. You see a few growing meager wheat or corn or things like that. But it's lots of low ground plants. And the area right around Dead Goat is relatively hilly. And eventually, and this is you walk for about an hour. Molinari takes you for about an hour outside of town. So, a few miles away. And you're reaching the point now where instead of clustered farms, it's now like, oh, there's a farm here, and then there's just open land, and then there's a farm here. And nestled into a hill, right next to a hill, you see a tiny little wood cottage in a tiny little plot of vegetables. Mostly it looks like carrots and potatoes and that sort of stuff. And she leads you right up there. And she goes up there and kind of knocks on the door. And a few moments later you hear, "What? What do you want?" And the door gets thrown open, and there is a dwarf there.
Oh, awesome.
He is a dwarf. He's got a long beard that's tucked into his overalls. He's not wearing a shirt. He's just wearing overalls, and he's got a belt, and he's like, "Oh, what in blazes do you want?"
Soft scales and all your hair.
He's like, "What's with all the racket?" And he opens up the door, and he's like, "Oh, Olinari, what can I do for you here this afternoon?" And she's like, Rathbun, it's good to see you. And he's like, come here. And he gives her a big hug right around her waist. And he's like, it's good to see you. And he looks and sees the expression on her face. And he's like, but mind me manners. Come in. And he offers to bring you all inside.
Okay.
He kind of ushers you all inside, and you see him look at the door, and he kind of does this. Ugh, and slams the door shut. And inside, he's got this wretchedly old dog that is padding around, and it kind of comes up the moment you're inside, and its fur's gone gray, its muzzle is gray, droopy eyes, and it pads up towards you on little stumpy legs, with moving really slow, and just gives you all a sniff before going back and curling up in front of the fireplace. And he's like, "Oh, never mind her. She's old and blind and just wanted to give you a sniff." Take a seat. Olinari, what's this all about? And she says, these friends of mine, they could use a place to stay until a friend arrives to take them on a journey. He says, Oh, of course. Of course. And who might you all be?
My name's Mikah.
Mikah. That's a lovely name.
Oh, thank you.
That's a lovely name. I like the color of your hair.
Thank you. I can change it too.
That's a blessing.
It is.
I can't change my hair anymore. It's all gray. That's all I've got. It changed color once. And,
well, that's good enough.
And I'm afraid it's not going to be changing color again. And who are you, my fine Aroxy friend?
Zell.
Zell.
And I must ask, you don't have any corpses buried here, do you?
Corpses?
Yeah.
No, why would I have any corpses?
Excellent.
Well, I mean, I have last year's crops. They didn't go so well, I have to be honest. I'm not the best farmer.
That should be okay.
Oh.
Undead
Are we
vegetables.
sure?
Zell strokes his snout.
Yeah, I was like, are you stroking a beard because you don't have one?
My frills.
He's like, oh. Yeah, no, I don't have much in the way of corpses. I have the ruins of last year's crop. It's pretty terrible. I almost starved throughout the winter.
That's horrible.
This year's a little better, but I have to admit I've broken more tools this year than I care to admit. They just keep snapping on me.
Aww.
Oh, and you! And he looks at you and his eyes go wide. Oh, me lovely lady, who might you be?
Carina introduces herself and says thank you for the hospitality in letting us stay here.
Oh, think nothing of it. I'm so glad to have guests. You'll see my place here. It's not too roomy, but I can certainly put you up here on my farm.
Yay. Thank you so much.
Thank you, yes.
What's your dog's name?
Oh, my dog. Her name is.
That dog over there.
This one.
That hound. That is Lassie.
Oh, okay. That's good. I'm gonna spend the rest of this time trying to be her friend.
She's a Lassie hound.
She's very adorable.
Yes, that's why I called her that. She was very Lassie. Yes, I know, it's not a very good joke.
I can't emphasize her lassiness enough.
Yeah, look at her. She just lays there. I bought her because I wanted to keep the rodents out of my farm. But she never really chased them. As a matter of fact, one day I found her cuddled up with them.
That's
terrible hound.
Bizarre.
Terrible, I have to say. So, Mother Olenari says, I've already sent word to our friend. I have no idea how long it'll take to arrive. Are you good keeping them until he does? Of course. I just pulled the harvest, so there's plenty of food for all. And I hope you like what I'm growing. And mind you,
everything's very ambiguous about this individual.
You saw a very small plot of vegetables outside.
Well, maybe we can help with the farm a little bit while we're here.
Yeah.
He looks at you and he goes, "Oh, I don't know about that. Well, you might. I don't know. I don't know what type. Do you have any experience with Doravan farming?"
No, not so much.
Well, you're about to learn everything you need to learn. Would you like to see me farm?
Absolutely.
Olenari says, "Well, it looks like everything's in hand. I shall send word immediately when I learn that our friend is on his way. But if you have any need, please feel free to send a message." Oh yes, I know how to get messages to you, and I'll send that blasted owl. And she goes, "Yes, of course." And she says, "Make sure to send me the list first thing in the morning, and I will see what I can do."
Okay.
Until then, friends, be safe.
You too.
Thank you again.
Yep.
She goes, "All right, bye-bye." And he goes and he sends her out his way. She's like, "I'll see you at church this weekend." And she's like, "Of course." And she makes her way. And he's like, "All right, who wants to see me farm?"
See your farm or to see you doing farming?
No, I want to... no, I'm not going to make you watch me do any farming. It's pretty boring, to be honest.
I'm good with either.
But you can come see where my farm is located at and investigate where I'm going to be keeping you. Because I can't have you up here. The priests do swing by every once in a while, especially when they want to buy me crops. And It's not too often, to be honest. It's not really to their tasting, but every once in a while.
Okay.
He's still yet to be defined.
Yeah.
Crops.
Yeah.
No, come with me. And he
Wink,
takes you. He
wink.
takes you. He takes you into
like
the
cages.
back of his shack. And like I said, it was built up alongside a hill. And he opens up a door that looks like it's set in the back wall, as if you were going to go out back. But when he opens it up, it doesn't go out back. It's the opening of a cave.
Mm.
And he's like, right this way. And he kind of grabs a basket. And he's like, come with me. And he leads you down a set of kind of a cavernous tunnel that leads into the hillside. And you immediately begin to hear the dripping of water. Like, drip, 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 drip. And he's like, right this way. And he leads you down into this large chamber with these broad, shallow pools of water, lit by these flickering, sputtering, kind of magical torches. They don't look like they're actually fire. They look like they're kind of illusory flame. And you are in a chamber that's kind of glistening with moisture, and growing all over the place are these giant mushrooms. And he's like, welcome to me farm. Yes, I'm a mushroom farmer. You didn't think all those mushrooms were just picked in the woods, did you? No, these are Rathbun's famous mushrooms. And he's like, I hope you like mushrooms, because it's most of what I be eating.
Quandle would have liked this place.
Who's Quandle? Is he a friend of yours?
Yeah.
He was.
He recently passed on.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, let me take you to where you can stay. You don't want to stay here. It's awfully damp. But I got some caves further in the back where it's dry and warm, and there's even a bit of light coming from up above. There's a few cracks in this hillside that let in some light and fresh air. You'll find it quite comfortable. This isn't the first time I've had some guests, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Carina looks oddly excited at the prospect of getting to stay in like a real dwarven cave.
Yeah.
A proper dwarven cave.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, this cave's been in me family for well, one whole generation. I'm the one who found it. And I'm the one who grows the mushrooms. So, why don't we take you back to where you'll be staying? And he leads you back through a series of caves. There's actually a handful of small caves. And it's kind of it's a surprisingly complex little cave structure where there are a number of chambers where he's growing where he cultivates different types of mushrooms. But it's mostly kind of your big white and portobello kind of mushrooms. That's mostly what grows here. And he leads you back into a small side cave that kind of goes up a set of worn limestone steps into a nice little spacious chamber. And in this chamber, he's built a few bunks, and there's a very simple little fire pit in the middle. It's not big, but it looks just big enough to cook over. He's like, you won't be needing the fire for warmth. This cave kind of stays this temperature no matter what. So you'll be nice and comfortable, but if you need to cook, I do have some leftover scraps of fungus to burn. That's the best thing to burn. It doesn't give much smoke, so nobody sees it coming out of the hillside. Yeah. And he says, never mind the bird. And all of a sudden this kind of half-blind kind of owl flutters about and lands. He's like, damn thing. The bird here, I use it to communicate with town. It'll deliver messages when I feed it enough mice. It's the only damn thing keeping the mice out of this place.
Okay.
And he looks and he says, well, welcome to your home. I hope you find it restful. And should you need anything, I'm here to help.
Well, thank you very much.
Rathbun turns and leaves you in your small cave. And you find that for the first time in a long time, you finally feel safe. And that is where I'm ending today's game. I want to thank you all for watching, but before you go, we have a special guest who's going to pop into the chair here for just a moment. I want to welcome to the couch our good buddy Dan Tharp.
Yay!
Dan,
Hey, hang on.
come on in here and grab a seat, folks. We're going to run a few minutes over here today. Dan, I just wanted to welcome you to the couch
This
because
is nice.
because Dan, this is your last official day here at Paizo. This is it.
Yeah, it is. This is it. Last day producing Oblivion Oath.
Yeah.
Going out on a high note. This was a good episode. I liked it.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah.
Poor Quandle. We made a command in the chat for him.
Oh,
So,
nice.
I think we actually took your joke where it's like he'll always be an initiative in our hearts or something. So nice. So I just want to say thanks for joining for this last 13 episodes, I think.
Yeah.
It's been so fun. I've been having such a blast chatting with everybody and watching the channel grow and all that stuff. You're in great hands with Peyton, the new producer. He's been doing so many good things already, kind of fixing up a lot of the old equipment and getting it updated. If there's anybody that's going to take phase 2 of the Twitch program that Paizo's doing, it's Peyton. So it's going to be awesome. I think that there's a lot to look forward to. But what I want to do, aside from saying goodbye, is I want to give somebody this right there. I keep sitting in, I'm in your line right here. I feel bad. We're going to give somebody that. So what I need you to do is exclamation point giveaway, right? Yes, exclamation point giveaway. And then we're going to sign this, and I'm going to sign it, and everybody's going to sign it.
Yeah, we're going to get everybody here
and
to
then
sign
we'll
it.
give it away to somebody. So that's the plan. Peyton, you're going to pick somebody, I assume?
Yep, I got it settled.
All right, cool. Or do we do that here, or are we just going to go and do that off camera?
We could do it here on stream. If there's a pin there, you can go ahead and start signing it if you'd like.
Yeah.
We have Sharpies. So
Yeah,
that
Sharpies would be better.
Oh, yeah, Sharpies.
I
too.
have a Sharpie right here. As it turns out, I bring one to this. Here you go.
Here, you start.
All right. So I want to say that this has been a fantastic journey, Dan. We first started our discussions about this like over 6 months ago.
It was a while ago. Yeah.
Is when we first started planning out the Oblivion Oath, and it started out with a bunch of crazy ideas and a terrible name that I'm so thankful we didn't go with. And
Lunchfinder's the worst name.
Lunchfinder was terrible.
I like it.
Well, yeah.
Proof.
Yeah.
Lunchfinder.
I'm just saying.
But
it's very punny.
It's been a fantastic ride going from kind of not even knowing what we were going to do to producing a show that has really found a good niche, and folks have really kind of gelled. And for that, Dan, I want to say thank you. I'm looking forward to where the future takes us with Peyton. But you were here at the beginning, and I want to say thank you for helping us getting this campaign started. And it's really been a fun ride.
Yeah, it's been a blast. I think that, again, obviously, it would just be a bunch of people playing for no reason if it wasn't for everybody out there kind of joining in, being a part of the community, and, kind of playing around with us in the world and letting it kind of grow, and listening to Jason's accent change like 4 or 5 times during the...
I really like Rathbun. So.
I think, and Rathbun's an NPC. So again, that the community bought. So again, it's those kind of things that kind of bring everybody
Big Boy
together.
Doodle, I think, if I'm reading the.
Yeah, it's either
Mike.
I see Mike because MIC to me is a microphone.
Mike Boy
but
Doodle.
it could be Mick too.
Boy
I guess
Doodle.
that's very possible.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Good old Farmer
growing.
Rathbun, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll get that accent down eventually. I'm not quite sure what it is. I just kind of decided to go with it.
Don't change a thing.
No,
I love
it's,
it. You keep doing that.
Yeah.
Because then they're going to make a drinking game out of when it goes to a new country, take a drink.
I
I would imagine. I don't know.
Is it kind of Scottish? Is it kind of? I don't know what it is.
It was a solid Irish when you first started.
It was.
It was pretty,
perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know that it was at the end. All right. So.
Winner.
Yay, we have a winner. Who's the winner?
Jaded Tempest.
Hey, Jaded Tempest. Awesome. Yeah.
Congratulations.
We met Jaded Tempest at PaizoCon.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They were there for that. So congratulations. This book is on its way. That's going to be great.
Awesome.
Anyway, that's all I got. I mean, I have another 30 minutes of material that we can do.
That's
I'm
cool.
totally fine
That's
with
cool.
that.
We're just all going to leave, though.
A lot of it's about airline food. I hope that's okay. Because
What's the deal? Yeah.
you guys been looking at my notes? That's
Yeah,
not
I'm afraid we
cool.
have.
Sorry.
Why don't they make the whole plane out of the black box?
Normally, Dan, I close out our episodes, but here in your last episode,
Okay.
Dan?
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us as always. It's been so much fun. And these folks are going to see you again next week for the continuing adventures of Oblivion Oath. I'm your old buddy Dan. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.